Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's 10 o'clock. We'll be starting our webinar. My name is Mehmet Tuvek. I'm the president of the Food Center. Welcome to today's webinar. As the trade uncertainties happen and a lot of tariffs and all these new trade routes and the trade opportunities happening at the same time, I think it would be good. We thought that it would be a good idea to talk about some of the opportunities and looking at some new opportunities for Canadian peas in the global marketplace. So that's why I just wanted to go through and then present this webinar to the audience. And this is going to be recorded as well, and it will be available in the future. If you have any questions, please type it in the chat box or in the Q&A site. I'll be glad to answer the questions. And we'll be going through some of our capabilities about the organization, what we do, especially on the pulses, on the peas, the quality, some of our programs. Then we'll be talking about what are the opportunities for the Canadian peas with the growing marketplace. So Food Center has been established in 1997. We have been providing contract research, contract manufacturing, incubation, innovation services to the agri-food sector. We have main focuses on local crops, meat utilization, plant-based food, food ingredients, agricultural biomass, and biotech. We have over 60 full-time employees and help supported over 550 clients and produced over 1,200 products developed and manufactured at the Food Center. And we've been basically producing about like 1/3 of these products still in the marketplace being produced, or we are still producing some of these products. Our main goal is to expand and driving the innovation, utilizing Saskatchewan inputs, develop and process new products, create value-added opportunities. We provide market access, process concept, provide reduced capital risk for entrepreneurs, and we work on ecosystem development for the industry. We have 3 facilities, our pilot plant, Agri-Food Innovation Center, and our fermentation and bioengineering services. With these capabilities, we help the industry provide different product applications with our CFIA inspected, certified facilities and creating opportunities for startups, SMEs, and large-scale companies with different opportunities in the global marketplace. Now, we have several programs from product development to inspection services, from fermentation, co-manufacturing, crop quality, extrusion, R&D, food safety training, and so forth. So these are all the programs that you can go through from our slide. Please feel free to share, and then I can share the presentation with you as well if you like to learn more about the programs. So one particular program that we've been working on since 2022, our Pulse Crop Quality Program. Basically, Saskatchewan Pulse Growers has been generously supporting us on this program. We've been delivering this on behalf of the pulse industry. And basically, the overall goal of this program is to develop a comprehensive database of composition, functionality, and nutrition for pulses grown in Western Canada, and to add in more best management practices and influence production practices that target end-use quality. So with these programs, like a couple of slides I like to share at the moment, we look at the overall trends and the protein levels of crops, so with different varieties, different regions, different growing conditions, G by E variations. So these are some examples from 2022, 2023, and 2024 crop year. The data that you can see, green pea varieties versus yellow pea. And on the left side, you can see the protein content depending on the year. And on the right side, we collect data in terms of protein productivity, kilogram protein per hectare. So we can basically look at the trends and to see the overall changes in the varieties and the new varieties coming into the production that we can basically track all these numbers. Some additional data here, you can see the protein % dry basis values versus the protein productivity, kilogram protein per hectare. So these are 2024 data, and these are more mean values without any environmental differences. So Dr. Lindsay Wang has been conducting all this program under her leadership her staff. We've been collecting all this data in coordination with Saskatchewan Pulse Growers and Pulse Canada, and helping generating all this data for the future of the industry. So these are really important because then we can create all the necessary tools for the farmers, growers, to address the needs of the specific industry as we grow this marketplace. So as we move forward into some of the market data, I like to talk about like overall to understand the dry pea production in 2024. So when we look at the overall production in 2024, again, I like to remind you the pea production globally, it's still a minor crop. So compared to corn, soybeans, rice, or wheat, the number is about 15 million metric ton global dry pea production, and about 4 million metric ton in Russia. And Canada, we grow about 3.2 million metric ton. US is about 900,000, and France about 500,000 metric ton. And if you look at the growing regions, like there's also peas in Australia, in India, Ukraine, Ethiopia, there are other parts of the world, they grow the peas, but they're not the major exporting countries. Australia's been exporting some, Ukraine has been exporting some as well, but they're not at the levels that Russia and Canada has. So when you look at the regions, it's about 14 million metric ton, and really we are in the business of very targeted, niche, and high value applications where these products can be utilized in different segments in the industry. So if you look at the overall our position in the sustainability, and I like to share here a Global Institute of Food Security study, which they conducted this study, I believe, last year. Dr. Stephen Webb's, under Steve Webb's leadership there, they came up with the overall sustainability data for peas and durum wheat, spring wheat, and other type of crops grown in Western Canada. In this particular slide, I like to highlight how sustainable are we in terms of dry pea production in Canada. And based on this study, as you can see, in Western Canada and much better in Saskatchewan, the overall carbon footprint of the pea production, our sustainability scores, they're much better than France, Germany, and United States based on the data collected. And I believe this data is also presented and published in peer review. So this really shows additional benefits and strengths in the crop production side. So when you start calculating your carbon footprint and sustainability scores, life cycle analysis scores, you're in a much advantageous level, and you're starting with much lower numbers compared to other production regions in the world, such as United States and European Union. So this puts us in a much better sustainability position globally. Then I like to talk about the global dry pea and the fractionated pea ingredient consumption. And when we look at the overall consumption, this is basically steadily increasing. Although you may hear that, oh, peas, they have off flavor, off taste, some of those concerns, and like, oh, they don't taste great and they don't have the right sensory profiles. But in terms of nutritional value, food, feed, and specialty feed, and fitting in so many versatile and various cuisines, this market is growing, and overall production and interest is growing. And it's really a good fit in the ingredient manufacturing, and there are several reasons for that. When we look at the major consumers, obviously China, India, North America, US, Canada, European Union, Middle East, and Southeast Asia, these are the primary end users and the consumers of the whole dry peas, as well as fractionated pea ingredient products. So it depends on the transformation and the manufacturing capability of these regions. As we know, North America, European Union, and China, they have more manufacturing capabilities. When we go to India, Middle East, and Southeast Asia, we are looking at some basic milling, grinding, or different type of particle size reduction, and as well as some more canning and snack type of operations available. So depending on the region, depending on the country, we are looking at different agri-food transformation systems for the whole peas or the fractionated ingredients. And if you look at the pea protein market, we are looking at about $2.2 billion market globally, and it's projected to grow with a compound annual growth rate about 12.1% from 2024 to 2030. So as much as all these feedback coming from the marketplace, well, the taste is not great, it's not working well, there's the data and overall projections show that there is potential growth in the market, whether it's a good fit with the plant-based diets and functional and sustainability benefits of the pea protein. So that's definitely a growth that we see. And in terms of fractionated pea ingredients market, we are looking at the proteins, starches, flours, and the fibers. The overall market is about $4 billion market and expected to reach about $5 billion by next year, end of next year, and growing at a CAGR at 10%. And we are seeing more and more increased adoption and adoption of the fractionated pea ingredients. And again, the main driver here is the nutrition, functionality, sustainability, and these ingredients are good fit for the plant-based diets. So these are important to address. So now we have to understand, like, what's really our value proposition? What is the value? What do we grow and what do we sell? So basically, if you look at the composition of the peas, we are delivering about 23 to 26% protein, especially with some of the new varieties sitting in the market. We are looking at about 47% starch and about 15 to 20% fiber, which there's several versions of it. There's 7% crude fiber, and there's about 15 to 22% dietary fiber, and there's about 6% oligosaccharides, galacto-oligosaccharides present as dietary fiber in the whole piece. And there's about 3% ash, which is fairly high and rich in terms of phosphorus, potassium, as well as magnesium, calcium, selenium, zinc, and iron. And we are looking at a very minor component, about 1.5% fat and 2% sugars, which is pretty much sucrose. So the sucrose and other galactose oligosaccharides, they basically constitute about 7.5%, 8% of the crop and the total. And when we look at the fractionated pea ingredients, if we don't basically utilize the whole peas, if we don't sell it into the market, these products, whether in North America, Canada, US, or European Union, or in China or other parts of the world, they are transformed into different ingredients. So they go through a major cleaning process where we separate the impurities, allergens, and all the stones and chaff, all the different impurities, and they go through a splitting, dehulling process, or they can go direct to the milling. We can also produce a whole milled flour, but typically they go through a splitting and dehulling process. Then we produce the pea hulls, and pea hulls, they are quite high in terms of insoluble fiber. About 90% of the hulls, they are insoluble. And when we take the hulls, they can be about 65, 70, up to 90, 95% dietary fiber-rich components, depending on the purification and separation of the hulls and the way that we mill into this product. These products are really great products for baking, snack, batters, breadings, and most importantly for the pet food industry in the global markets. Then we take the hull, we take the splits, and we can grind it and mill it into different fractions, depending on the milling and particle size, separation, sifting technologies. So we can come up with coarse, fine, or granular pea flours, depending on the particle size. And it's very important to understand the client's need, the overall customer's need, the specification, whether to mill a fine particle or a coarser particle, or more like a grit, or more a granular product. So depending on the market application and end use, it's important to produce the product accordingly based on that particle size. Then we are looking at two types of fractionation process for the peas. One of them is a dry fractionation, basically produced with fine milling and air classification, where we can produce pea protein concentrate and pea starch concentrate. These products, they are not as pure as wet fractionated products, about 50 to 55% protein for the pea protein concentrate. And in the pea starch, depending on the protein shifting and separation, can be 12% down to 6, 7%, depending on the type. and the sequence of the separation and the classification and the process. And in the wet milling is basically a wet milling separation produced with isoelectric precipitation or enzymatic precipitation treatment. And by using decanters, centrifuge, and a spray drying or different type of dryings for starch or the inner pea fiber. So these are the products that we produce. Pea protein isolate, typically over 80–85%, sometimes 75% protein levels up to 85%. Pea starch can be quite pure from 90–95 up to 98%. And there's also the inner pea fiber has been extracted with the wet milling process. So these are the ingredients that we can produce. And depending on the region that we are selling, whether we are selling primarily to China, these type of products are produced, and also in Europe and North America, we are seeing these type of products to be transformed into different ingredients. So, and depending on the specification, depending on the type of product, they are being utilized in the marketplace. So if you look at the peas and the fractionated pea the pea ingredients, there are four major value propositions. And these are primarily labeling and sustainability, functionality, nutrition, and the replacement solutions. So the first one is related to labeling and sustainability, which we focus on the presence of the plant protein, alternative protein, plant protein. This is a natural product, clean label product, non-GMO. It's a gluten-free, grain-free, allergen-free, vegan, and a sustainably sourced ingredient. And we can say it for whole peas, we can say it for pea protein, pea flour, pea starch, depending on the process. Then these products, whether it's a whole pea milled into a product or different ingredients, they provide all the functionality properties such as flavor, aroma, water binding, emulsification, texture, gelation, adhesion, film forming, and some of the attributes are more related to starch carbohydrate fraction, and some of them are related to the protein fraction. And the third one is nutrition. The peas, they are quite rich in terms of protein, high in lysine, high in dietary fiber, primarily insoluble fiber. They are high in potassium, iron, phosphorus, in particular phosphorus, and they're low in ash in minerals, which are quite important for the grain-free applications in the pet food industry. And the last pillar is the replacement solutions. So with these ingredients, we can replace bulk flour replacements such as rice, corn, or starch replacements such as potato, tapioca, or rice, or we can do allergen replacement or cost reduction, like can be gluten, soy, egg, animal proteins. These are all the solutions that we can look and utilize the peas and pea ingredients. So the number one business that I like to highlight is basically the grain-free business. And in 2018, most of us, we experienced there was this DCM update from FDA, and they basically came back and they never apologized or did anything, but apparently they were wrong with their conclusions and overall evaluations. So it was completely debunked. And when we look at the data and overall interest in the grain-free business, it's trending again, it's growing again. Now, the companies now, they're not formulating with higher levels of pulses, higher levels of peas, but there's definitely more interest using peas in the formulations. And they are basically coming up with more balanced protein and nutritional requirements. The reason why this business is important because it basically has a business potential close to $50 billion global business, and it's projecting to grow at a 9% compound annual growth rate from 2024 to 32, and it's constantly growing business. And the driving trends, they are really quite keeping it live. Number one is the pet humanization, like premium specialized foods. Consumers, they are buying the same things as they buy for themselves, for their pets. So the pet parents are really concerned about their pets, and they are buying the best product possible, and grain-free has that potential for the best product available in the marketplace. Number two is the health and the wellness trends, looking at improved digestion and allergy reduction, and peas, they definitely provide that solution, whether it's a pea flour, whole pea flour, or ingredients, they deliver that capability. The third one is the product innovation, novel, functional, and the sustainable ingredients. They are providing those solutions. And when we look at the marketplace from United States, Canada, European Union, China, Japan, India, Southeast Asia, Middle East, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, all these regions, they have pet food manufacturing companies and they have brands and they are increasing their SKUs and the grain-free, and they're adding pulses and some tapiocas and some rice, but they are using more and more pulses in these formulations in a balanced protein with the balanced nutritional requirements. So if you look at the peas and the fractionated pea ingredients in the pet food, it was introduced as millet flours in 1980s and late 1990s as an alternative to corn, rice, soybeans, and wheat, and developed by the industry due to the pet parent needs as allergen and the gluten-free formulations. And here 5 factors, these 5 bullet points are really important to talk about. Number 1, we use peas as a protein supplement and as an alternative source. We use peas as a binder and texturizer alternative, whether it's a pea flour or pea starch. We use pea fiber as a fiber supplement as an alternative. And these products, they are much lower in ash, they are much lower in minerals, because pets are like quite sensitive to magnesium and a couple other minerals. And compared to the animal proteins, these type of ingredients, they deliver much less minerals. That's why it's important to have these type of ingredients in the blends. They're not used 100%, they're not used 50%, but they can go up to from 5% up to 20, 25% in the pet food formulations. And one most important thing is compared to some of the cereals, especially corn and wheat, peas, they don't have any mycotoxins. And looking at all the Canadian Grain Commission and some historic data, you can not find any mycotoxin growth in the peas, especially in the production phase. You can see it during storage as a storage, like an okra toxin, like a high moisture level, or during a bad storage capability. There may be some okra toxin, penicillium growth in the bins, but peas, they don't have a natural like a mycotoxin growth similar to like those fusarium or the DON levels like durum wheat or other type of wheat or corn. And the heavy metal levels, they are like quite low, especially compared to rice. Rice has quite high, especially with arsenic and some of the other heavy metals, depending on the growing conditions. So because of that, there's quite a bit of interest of replacement of rice in pet food applications as well, and also brings the overall sustainability benefit. So if you look at the peas in terms of protein quality, whole pea flours, they provide over 85% true protein digestibility, and the pea proteins, because they are dehulled and much more pure products, they provide over 92% true protein digestibility. For protein concentrate, like pea protein concentrate, it's about 92, 93. If it's a pea protein isolate, we can see about 95, 96% true protein digestibility. And in terms of some of the additional use, pea fiber used as an alternative to soybean hulls, sugar beet fiber, fruit vegetable pulps like tomato pomace or other type of fruit pomaces as an alternative. So, and that's a direct use in the pet food applications. In late 2000s, whole pea flours, split pea flours, pea fiber, pea protein, pea starch, all these ingredients, they became major ingredient solutions for the allergen-free, grain-free industry, and the direct value proposition is that direct replacement. Tubers with the yam, tapioca, potato, different type of starches, flours, we can replace with the peas. And the peas, they definitely provide all this whole flour, split flour, and the different type of nutritional and the functionality balance. And the pea flours, they were primarily used to replace corn gluten meal, soybean meal, and soy proteins, and pea flours and pea starches. They are used as a binder texture solution to replace wheat flour, corn starch, rice flour, tapioca starch, tapioca flour, those type of ingredients. And when we look at the opportunities for dry peas and fractionated pea ingredients, especially the product and formulation innovation, is critical, working with veterinary nutritionists to create balanced formulas. There's been still some noise in the market. Before 2018 July, at some point, the market in the United States, the grain-free, was getting close to 50% of the market. Now we are not in there. We are down to 20, 25%. And the inclusion rate of the pulses, they were like much higher. But we came back, and now it's increasing, and the companies globally in Southeast Asia, in Europe, and other parts of the world, they are using more and more products, but maybe in a balanced way, with different ancient grains or other cereals or tubers or other products. But they are using pulses constantly because grain-free is selling and it has that premium in the marketplace. In terms of proteins, pea flour with about 25-30% protein, pea proteins with 55 to 80% protein. They can be used as supplemental proteins and really important to reduce the ash mineral content and keeping the protein content higher. The carbohydrate alternatives such as sweet potatoes, rice, pumpkin, tapioca, these are potentially can be replaced with pea flour or pea starch as a binding, texturizing ingredient, and it can also deliver a balanced starch and protein. So the applications we can focus is primarily on the dry kibble, like extruded products, wet and canned food applications, especially in canned applications, as a rice, tapioca, or different type of brine solutions. These ingredients can be used, and really other growing market is treats and supplements. More on the treats, peas can be used as a binder or as a base ingredient for the treat applications as well. When we look at the global specialty feed business, that's another important area to me that we need to touch on, especially looking at the specialty feed. Like when you look at the overall animal feed market, it's about close to $600 billion globally, and it's growing about 4, 5, 6% with a compound annual growth rate. But if you look at the segment of that, in particular, the specialty feed business, looking at milk replacers, calf starters, breeder feeds, or some additional specialty feeding applications, this is looking at $20 to $30 billion and really growing with a fast pace. And the main market driver for this is customized nutrition, technological advancements, and in particular, sustainability trends. In this business, we are looking at more sustainability trends, and with the specialty feed, the companies are looking at more focus on sustainable and environmental friendly feed options. And pea, as a whole pea, as a milled ingredient, or the fractions, they are bringing a major value to these type of products in this marketplace. If you look at some of the opportunities, especially for dry peas or the fractionated pea ingredients, especially the chicks, broilers, piglets, and aquatic species, in particular like salmon, tilapia, catfish, shrimp feed, these products are like these type of species can use and being used a lot of pea and the pea ingredients in the marketplace. For chicks and broilers, because pea as a whole ingredient or as a flour or as a starch, these products, they can replace, they can bring the food safety, they can bring the feed safety, and they deliver the protein and the fiber in these formulations. Piglets, again, important, highly digestible, helping the growth and muscle development with the flour, protein, and starches can be used. And in the aquatic species in particular, as a replacement or partial replacement to fish meal, to bring more sustainable plant-based protein source in the aquatic feed application. So these are the other alternatives that we can look at, especially in particular in Southeast Asia and South America with different operations. So when we look at the third one is the global snack food business. And snack food business is really exploding, a huge business, looking at $600 to $650 billion this year. Back in 2021, the overall value about $560 billion business, 5 to 6% growth per year. And from like the chips to crackers, nuts, and confectionery, there's a huge interest. People, they are consuming more snacks, They have much less time for their lunches, or they have much less time for their breaks. And these type of products, they are really driving a lot of growth in the food business. And when we look at the growth drivers, is the convenience, increased in consumer demand for on-the-go, ready-to-eat snack options, product innovation, and e-commerce expansion. So all these factors are driving the markets for the global snack business, and we are getting more and more interest for the peas, and this can be an opportunity with all these trade uncertainties, and with some of the tariffs, we can find some opportunities in different parts of the world for our Canadian peas with different applications as well. And this slide is primarily focusing on the pea snacks and like what type of pea snacks we can produce in the marketplace. The number one is the whole pea snacks. We take the whole peas, we soak it, and then we fry it, or we soak it, we roast it. We can also try baked snacks, such as in crackers, cookies, brownies. We can also try fried or baked chips, different type of sheeted or bake applications, and also the extruded snacks, such as direct expanded snacks, pelletized or fried baked third generation snacks. These are all other options, as some examples from Asia, Indonesia, as well as North America, our Tree Farmers product from Saskatchewan. So there are different examples that you can see in this market, and a huge innovation, a lot of opportunities for these products. And the main driver compared to corn, and especially rice or wheat, those type of products, higher protein, higher fiber. So the opportunities, especially for the peas in Southeast Asia, especially the fried pea snacks. Fried pea snacks, there's not that much data out there, but when you look at Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Myanmar, South China, in that whole region, the calculations is pretty much about 500 to 600,000 metric ton of consumption, and peas coming from all different regions, Australia, Russia, Ukraine, Canada, different parts of the world. But people are consuming more and more fried peas, and these products can be found in wet markets, convenience stores. They're high-end products, low-end products. And in terms of product preparation, from flavor variations and health appeal, that's really the driving market in this. You can find with cartilage, shark flavors, wasabi flavors, all these different products in the market. And really the driving business is the high in protein and high in fiber and vitamins compared to other traditional snacks. I mean, there's quite a bit of rice, there's quite a bit of corn in the region, but the overall consumers there, they are showing more and more interest. And it's basically a Southeast Asian innovation, and it's reaching out all over the world. And with their cultural significance more in Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines, these products are being used and consumed more as luncheons, but they are also used and consumed in festivals, family gatherings, and a lot of activities in there as well. And some of these products, they are not only used as is, but they can be combined with different fried legumes or peanuts or other corn kernels too. So the level of innovation, the interest in the market, especially for high quality Canadian peas with the right food safety and the functionality, is like quite open for these businesses. And really, I like to take a moment here to understand some of the opportunities for snacks in the Southeast Asia. The region is like quite open, especially for the milling and the transformation capacity, because they've been utilizing corn, rice, wheat, or other type of products in the region to produce these type of snacks. And the region is a major consumer of rice, tapioca, corn, and wheat, but they're like quite deficient in protein and fiber other than soybeans and peanuts. So when you look at a type of product that can provide fiber and the protein all together with the right texture, right expansion, differentiation, and applications, Canadian peas, they can provide a premium as snack and the meal applications as well. So it's really about 650 million population, primarily Indonesia, close to 300 million. It's a huge market for snack and whole peas and also ingredients as well. The other one growing in Asia in particular is the global dairy-free business. That's a really huge potential for Asia. because if you look at the data, it's about $30 billion market in 2023 and growing. The overall growth rate is like much higher, about 12-13% growth. And if you look at the regional insights, the overall market is 52% in Asia, dominated with dairy alternatives. Yes, there's more soy and there's more coconut in the region, but coconut especially, it's not as sustainable. So there's a huge potential for peas to get in there and to replace some of the products with different taste, flavor, and sustainability benefits. And after Asia Pacific, the following market is Europe, more on the vegan cheese and growing in other milk-based products as well. So to me, this area, the growth drivers for these products is health consciousness, lactose intolerance, allergies, and ethical and environmental concerns. And when we look at the composition of the peas, what we can deliver, and what's the overall value proposition, especially, we have huge potential here being in the region. The lactose intolerance and allergies is quite prevalent. So with peas, we can replace that, primarily the dairy allergies. And also the environmental concerns with the peas, again, it's a huge concern where the environmental impact of dairy farming in India and other parts of the world that is shifting ingredients and products to plant-based options. So if you look at some of the opportunities in this business, really with the overall whole peas as an ingredient, if it's transformed within a process or used as an ingredient for all the dairy substitutes, non-dairy creamers, dairy-free ice cream, non-dairy as well as gluten-free baked goods, non-dairy sauces, non-dairy dressings, and hybrid products, there are several options and capabilities we can deliver in this marketplace as well. So if you look at the overall opportunities for non-dairy business, not only in South Asia, but also Southeast Asia, South Asia, and as well as Middle East, again, the regions, they are like quite established in terms of milling, transformation, and the processing capacity, more in South Asia and more also in the milling side. Southeast Asia as well, Middle East is building up additional capacities, taking the products and milling, utilizing accordingly. The main thing for the Canadian peas, we can create the differentiation whether versus other competition in terms of product quality, sustainability, food safety, and also the technical service innovation to provide the information, to develop the relationships. And again, the region again is deficient in protein fiber, in particular, a combination of protein fiber for these plant-based solutions. Compared other than soybeans and peanuts, there's not that much product available. And again, interest in premium Canadian peas as low fat, high protein, high fiber as a base ingredient can create more opportunities for the region. And again, peas provide that whole processing capability, and especially for Asia, that whole taste sensory attributes for the regional consumers. So with that in conclusion, I like to touch on dry peas. Again, these are alternative crops compared to wheat, corn, soy, rice, and provide premium alternative solutions within the global marketplace for a clean label replacement solutions. And with all the Canadian peas and fractionated pea ingredients, we offer a range of opportunities for global new product innovation, business, and the market development opportunities. Depending on the region, whether it's as a whole or as a transformed ingredient, Canadian peas can provide excellent quality feedstock with strong sustainability, traceability, and variety programs, the breeding programs, and all the products coming in the market with the higher protein, different functionalities, and origin-based manufacturing and increased processing capacity can help us develop more markets and value-added opportunities from Canada and drive the export growth. And really, in terms of the market development, we should be all helping, and similar to wheat flour milling industry, by solving technical challenges, providing the innovation, and helping solving the problems of the end users in the processing, manufacturing, or end-use market needs will be important. If you look at the overall market, I haven't touched on like plant-based meat, which there is not that much growth at the moment. There is growth in Europe, but not globally. Also interest in pasta, there's some interest in snack bakery and other type of businesses. But if you look at the top 5, really, the grain-free pet food, specialty feed, snack foods, fried pea snacks, and non-dairy these are really the major drivers that can really push the peas to the next level and can absorb significant volumes of products from Canada. So with that, I'd like to stop here, and thank you very much for joining the webinar today. I'll be glad to take your questions, and I'll be glad to answer. There is one question here I'd like to go. Basically, there's been a significant decline in plant-based products on the market. That's basically the decline we are seeing is more and more on the plant-based meat. And really, it's the taste, flavor, and also the price. Price point is quite important for that business that we are seeing. And again, it's basically free fall in some of those plant-based meat analogs, plant-based meat applications. In Europe, there are certain strong markets, but like when we look at the global marketplace and especially the price parity and interest from the growers, we are not seeing that in North America. You are correct. What's the driver for the improved sustainability profile of Saskatchewan pulses? I believe it's the rotation, the no-till, and the overall much better use of fertilizer use. And again, that's a question for Steve Webb and his team in the Global Institute of Food Security. But it's really some of the best practices that we do in the production. It's basically giving us that advantage compared to Germany, France, and other production regions, Michael. Any other questions that I can answer? It's about 10:41. I did it about 38 minutes. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining. You can reach me at my email, or you can just reach us direct. We'll be glad to answer your questions accordingly. Thank you for joining. And thank you for joining. Have a great day. Thank you.